What's up everyone, it's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and boy did I know just a few days ago when I made that previous video about Doom and how I wasn't going to talk about it until official information came out. I was thinking at the time, because of when I made the video, and I was just thinking, you know what, it's going to come back and bite me in the arse in a few days or like next week whenever the actual info comes out, less than a week after I actually make the video. And lo and behold, it's fucking done that. So here I am talking about Doom after the official info has actually came out. So yay, whoop-de-fucking-do. But anyway, that's beside the point. So there's many things to talk about when it comes to Doom on Nintendo Switch in this video, based on my own personal opinion and how I view the whole situation and all, as well as the official info and official whatever out there as it is. So we'll get going into it because it's kind of all over the place, but we'll see how it goes anyway. So first off, it is confirmed. We already know that there is a multiplayer download. The multiplayer portion of the game is not included on the game card, and it is included as a download only if you buy a physical version of the game. So it turns out that the game, Doom itself, the single player portion of the game, is going to use a 16GB game card. Now, you may be wondering, like, why don't they just use a 32GB game card? Well, if they do that, they get hit by the inevitable Switch tax. Now, I'm not going to defend the whole process of putting the multiplayer as a download separate, because, well, that can have big issues with a micro SD card. In fact, it seems to be, it's kind of unconfirmed here, but the way the wording is, it seems to be that the multiplayer aspect can only be downloaded to a micro SD card, not to the actual internal storage. Don't take that specific part as gospel, it's just the way it's all worded. So I'm not trying to put misinformation on that part of it out there, just because it's worded in a really strange way, and that's the way it sounds like. So, and again, at the same time, if they were to put it all on the game card, you would have a 32GB game card, and the game would cost €10 more, $10 more, or $600,000 dues more than everywhere else, because, well, Nintendo. Now, that's that part of it, at least for the game card portion of it. Next up is resolution. Now, here's the big one that everyone's been freaking out over the last few days. We all know there was the whole Digital Foundry, arguably comparable faux PC build. I really hated the way they did it, and it just irked me the wrong way. I wasn't even a fan of the whole situation, but it just irked me the wrong way that they did it. And they had their current setup running as it was on roughly 540p. Now I say roughly because it wasn't perfect, and then again, nothing's going to be perfect at that resolution and that whole situation. But it turns out that the developers have actually come out. I say the developers, but what I mean is the company who's actually doing the port rather than ID Software or Bethesda themselves, and they have come out and said that despite what mode you may play it on, if you play it in handheld mode, if you play it in tabletop mode, or if you play it docked, the game is going to be 720p. Now, there's still theories floating around in there, myself included on this one, that it will be a dynamically scaling 720p. I'm still running on that aspect, but again, that part, the dynamic part of it, is unconfirmed. All we know is that the port company has said that it's going to be 720p in portable and 720p in docked. And yes, they're targeting a 30 frames per second. We won't say cap, but, well, yeah, we should say cap actually. They're targeting a 30 frames per second cap rather than lock. That's the word I fucked up a minute ago. But the point is that they're targeting 30 frames per second. Most likely we will see some drops because it's the Nintendo Switch and it's running Doom. And you have to remember that even though it's running at such a low resolution and the ID Tech 6 engine is probably the best and most scalable engine there is out there, there's still limitations based on the hardware we're seeing. The game is already running on, we can only call them exclusive texture settings, and I don't mean that in a good way, unfortunately, because it actually has to use textures and quality assets below the lowest setting of the PC version just to get Doom running on here. And now here's the big part of it that I do want to talk about, the big bit that you probably all come to this video for, because you can get this info anywhere. You can Everything I've said in this video, you can read on any website, and anyone who makes YouTube videos will also echo the same thing, because we're just reading stuff off people. That's all it is. But here is why you come to my channel, or at least here's why I assume you come to my channel, for my opinion on the whole thing and my outlook on the whole thing. So given the whole situation with Doom on Nintendo Switch, as we know, a lot of people are impressed that Doom runs on the Nintendo Switch. A lot of people say it's a great version, it's a great port, it's a great this, it's a great that, it's a great the other. I'm straight up saying no. Straight up. Now, when Doom was first announced on Nintendo Switch about 2 weeks ago, I don't remember the exact date, but I did make a video on it. I made a video on it saying that it's coming to Nintendo Switch, and it looks like there could be serious third-party support with big games like Doom and Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus. Now, having said that, and we've learned a bit more information about Doom, and of course, this is going to be a knock-on effect for Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus when it launches next year on Nintendo Switch as well, is these games literally have to be downgraded below their lowest existing form just to run on Nintendo Switch. And they have to do that on the most advanced and scalable engine, and it still comes out to this version of the game. Now, you can argue all you want that it's Doom on the go. You can argue that all you want. And here's what I say to you. I say no, it's not good enough. And why do I say that? Well, let's look at it this way. People say that it's a technical marvel that it runs on the Switch. Now, to be honest, what we know about it at the moment, with lower than lowest quality settings, if that is what you need to do to run on Nintendo Switch, it's not worth it. 30 frames per second in a game that is all about 60 plus frames per second with high speed action. The game is literally built on that whole premise. And you have to cut it down to 720p, possibly dynamic 720p. I'm just throwing that in there just for good measure. The lower than lowest quality settings, and everything pared back to such an extent that you probably won't even keep 30 frames per second just to get it on Nintendo Switch. It's not worth it. You lose basically everything about the game at that point. And the only people that I could justify this for, and this is even a stretch to be honest if you ask me, is people who only game on Nintendo platforms. Because why you would only limit yourself to one platform voluntarily in 2017, or any year really in the last like 20-25 years, is ludicrous to me. But unless you literally cannot afford any other platform and you only buy Nintendo platforms, this is the only way I could justify anyone ever playing this game. I don't care if you take business trips 5 out of the 7 days of a week, 52 weeks a year, I still do not recommend this version of the game now that we know more about it. And it highlights a couple of other problems and facts too, basically. Let's look at every other game. If it requires this heavy of a modification and downgrade to get an absolute bare minimum version of the game onto the console, on the most scalable engine there is, it pretty much rules out almost every other engine of every other AAA game. Almost every. Not going to say all of them, but almost every one of them. Because we all know there's stuff like NBA 2K18, which runs on Switch worse than every other platform. There's going to be WWE 2K18, which again will run worse on Switch than any other platform. And there's a bunch of other games that are going to be the same deal as well. But having said all that, let's go back to the point I was talking about just a second ago. Why not stop there when it comes to porting if it requires that much of a heavy downgrade on the most scalable engine? I mean, where do you draw the line? Most people say, oh, 30 frames per second with lower than lowest quality settings at maybe a dynamic 720p is fine, it's good enough. Do you realize what you're saying about your console? That this is what you're happy with just to get it on there? Why stop there? Battlefield 1 obviously can't run on the Nintendo Switch. No, you know what? Battlefield 1 is an out-of-date game. Let's use a current game. So let's see, Star Wars Battlefront 2, the upcoming one this year. Why not put that on Switch? But you know, it's going to require such heavy downgrading. Let's use lowered and lowest quality settings, pare back a bunch of the other stuff, take a load of the crap out of the game as well, and let's run it at 360p. Let's run it at 244p. Just to get it onto the console at an unstable 30 frames per second. Where do you draw the line about quality versus just having a game on your platform? To be honest, the line is above Doom for me. That's the way I see it. And I think this game has been pared back and downgraded to such a ridiculously heavy degree that the game should just not come out. But hey, I'm called a Nintendo hater all the time despite playing the shit out of my Nintendo Switch that I've had since day one, and Zelda being one of the best games I've played this year. But you know, apparently I'm a Switch hater, so whatever. But anyway, let me know in the comments section below your opinion on the whole duel situation. Duel? Did I just say duel? The whole... Wow, I can't English. The whole Doom situation, now that we know more info about it. Do you think it's justified? Do you think it's pared back enough? Do you think it's pared back too much? Do you think it shouldn't be on the console? Or, well, it shouldn't exist in this form because of the sheer... I don't even know what to call it at this point. Below minimum version of the game? I don't know. You let me know all of that, as well as if you plan on picking up Doom and why you plan on picking up Doom on the Nintendo Switch, because it's going to vary on every single person. But let me know all of that, as well as what you think about my opinion on the situation. And feel free to call me a Nintendo hater, because many people will anyway. But, you know, whatever. I'm not fazed by it. I know I'm not a Nintendo hater. I just demand better, but whatever. So let me know all of that in the comments section below. Hit the like button if you liked the video. Hit the dislike button if you didn't like the video. And that's why I'm using my maxed out, over 100 frames per second, 4 times the resolution Doom PC footage, just to illustrate this video. Of course, it will be downscaled to 1080p 60 frames per second because of YouTube and recording, but you'll get the point. And hopefully it really illustrates my point. If for some unknown reason you're not subscribed to the channel for my amazing content, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you on the rest of the videos in my channel.